All right, we are joined on Issues and Interviews by New York State Senate candidate Steve Brescia. Good afternoon, Steve. Thanks for joining me today.
Good afternoon, Kieran. It's a pleasure to join you today.
Yeah, we're very happy to have you. I'm very interested in your race. We covered it on Politics with Powers a week or so ago. It's one of the real potential pickup opportunities for Republicans. And not that long ago, the 39th Senate District was in Republican hands, and we'll get into all that. But tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, Steve Brescia.
Well, I'm born and raised in the village of Montgomery, and I've been here all my life. I've been the mayor of the village of Montgomery for 30 years, and I've got 20 years experience in the private sector managing in the retail lumber business. And I just love the community, and I think I can make a difference in Albany with bringing some common sense back up there, like Senator Larkin had.
Right. That's a good reminder. Senator Larkin had this seat for about 20 years and had part of that area in the assembly prior to that. He's, of course, the World War II Korea veteran who's passed on now, but was an institution in Orange County politics. It was an empty seat, and your opponent 2 years ago won in an open seat, and that's Skoufis, right? Senator Skoufis is your opponent?
Senator Skoufis, yes. Yes.
So what's the difference between you and him?
My leadership ability, my managerial experience. I mean, I have, as I said, 20 years in the private sector, 30 years managing in the public sector, and I have a good track record. I mean, we create jobs in Orange County. We've stayed below the tax cap since its inception in 2011. The state doesn't even have a spending cap, and they've not even stayed below the 2%, as you well know. Yeah. I mean, it's graceful. I mean, they just tax everybody to death. Small businesses. We're one of the most highly regulated states in the nation before this COVID-19 situation, and I think it's been handled terribly in so many regards. I mean, it's just mismanagement at its best.
Yeah, I'd say one of the biggest, most egregious things is the policy with regards to nursing homes. Governor Cuomo was putting COVID positive people, forcing them into nursing homes. And obviously that had a horrible impact, maybe 5,000 deaths and maybe more by the time it's over. Your thoughts on that? Horrible.
Oh, it's terrible. I mean, look at the situation in Florida and Texas. It's so much better than New York State. What he's done is terrible. I've asked for an investigation statewide, as have many other legislators and senators and assembly people, especially even the Democrats in the assembly have asked for that. Why didn't they use the naval ship? Why didn't they use the Javits Center more? Instead, they just forced these people into nursing homes, and we were hit especially hard in Orange County, Valley View, and all the other private nursing homes. It's terrible. I mean, it's a disgrace. And where was Senator Skoufis on this? The head of the investigations committee. He's got the highest paid staff of all the incoming senators, and
really?
He's been, absolutely. And he's crickets on this. He said when he came in and became chair of this committee that he wasn't afraid to be the new sheriff in town and investigate the governor. Well, he's been mum on this. The reaction is terrible. Small business. I mean, I sit on the Orange County IDA and have for 18 years. We've helped out tremendously. We've had 5 webinars. We just approved a $500,000 in loans to small businesses throughout Orange County, and we've been a great resource. Vinny Cozzolino, and Lori Villasusu. They fielded so many questions, and they've been a great resource. We help retain jobs, create jobs, and the state should do that. And they've been very lacking in that regard.
Yeah, Orange County is in good shape. I'm over there quite a bit. It's growing. Your county executive is a good man and a friend of mine, Steve Newhouse. And you guys have it right. If we could, expand those kinds of policies and that kind of thinking statewide, we'd be in much better shape as a state. Now, Senator Skoufis he was in the assembly with me for a while, and now obviously one term in the Senate. But your district is it might be center-right district. I know Trump won it. Obviously, Larkin was a Republican, and he had it. Skoufis pretends like he's a moderate, but is he truly a moderate?
No, he's definitely not a moderate. His voting record will illustrate that only too well. I mean, when he leaves, he's a liberal when he's in the city of Newburgh, and he leaves, all of a sudden he becomes a moderate. And his voting record doesn't show. With all the expenses, I mean, the entitlement programs he's voted for, the tuition for illegal immigrants he voted for in the assembly, the bail reform, which was very costly, not only with the criminals being on the street, and taking the discretion out of the judge's hands, ignoring the district attorney's offices and especially law enforcement. His staff is illustrative of that alone with all the money he spent there. He's just a tax and spend liberal Democrat, and there's no way around it. He can't really hide his record. But sometimes he goes in the bathroom when it's time to vote on important issues like raises.
Yeah, tell us about that. That is an amazing story. I've followed that since it happened a year or so ago. When the governor got his pay raise, where was your senator? Where was the junior senator?
My senator was in the bathroom with Senator Metzger, his ally, who he goes around my district, or the district hopefully that I win. Yeah, so proud of himself, and he calls IDA benefits corporate welfare. In my 18 years on the IDA, I've never seen him at one meeting. He doesn't even know how pilots work. He doesn't know that the $1.5 million that we gave to the Armory in the city of Newburgh, which helps educate minority children, it's a phenomenal program. Bill Kaplan was instrumental in that. And, you know, we've done so many positive things throughout the district. The Orange County Firefighters Museum, the movie projector in the city of Middletown, which brought them the Hoboken Film Festival. We've done so many positive things. The Purple Heart Hall of Honor, which is a great tourist site in New Windsor. There's been so many positive initiatives by the IDA that he ignores, but he likes to investigate the IDA endlessly and hoping he's going to find something at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting because Orange County, unlike Dutchess where I am, you can't be a New York City firefighter or a New York City police officer and live in Dutchess County. The Putnam line is where you, the point at which you can live, or south to be a New York City firefighter, New York City police officer. So we don't have that here. But Orange County, you're the other border area. You can have New York City firefighters and New York City police officers living there. And I think of Orange County with the New York City police presence and all the local state police officers. I think of it as a county with a ton of law enforcement professionals. I'm shocked that Skoufis would vote in favor of bail reform. What kind of
I don't know. I mean, he says it was snuck in with the budget package, but with all his staff that he has, you think he would have caught that. I mean, especially he touts that his father was a police officer. I mean, that would be embarrassing to vote for bail reform with, you know, and then they supposedly reformed it this last 2 months. I mean, that's like you and I going out to dinner or ordering a steak. It's not done well enough. They send it back to the kitchen, and the chef and the waiter toss it around in a couple baseball gloves and send it back out. That's the kind of reform that they passed here a couple months, you know, within the last 2 months. Disgraceful.
I mean, it's quite an image there. It's going to be a while before I order the steak again after that. And what about?
That's just an analogy, but.
Some votes are no-brainers. And I'll tell you this, there was no secret about the bail reform being in the budget. That aspect of the budget was debated. You know, we spent 12 hours debating those budget bills, sometimes more, often in the middle of the night. And that's a subject that my conference, the Republican conference, brought up. So there were no surprises in there. It didn't belong in there. And maybe somebody can make an argument that the good in the budget outweighed the bad. I read that budget. That is not the case in my view, but I could at least wrap my brain around that. But there's no way that it was snuck in there in the middle of the night. Everyone knew that was part of the deal last year in late March.
Exactly. He knew, and they had a chance to fix it last year, way before it went into effect this year. And you saw in such a short time all the criminals that were out in the street, drug dealers, level 3 sex offenders. There were so many examples, and you're going to see more of that because it really isn't reformed. And everybody knew that they needed some reform for the low-income individuals who couldn't afford to sit in jail for 3 days because they couldn't afford a few $100s. Everybody knew that. But what they did is they went overkill with this, and just lack of common sense and you know, concern for the results. You know, they don't, I don't know, just the average person, small business, everybody gets stepped on in New York State, and it's a shame. That's why it's the most unfriendly business community state in the country to do business. That's why you have to have some pilots to have initiatives. But you know, they're paying taxes from day one. He acts like you're giving the business a check right off the bat. They're always paying on the special districts. They're always paying, you know, from day one, they're paying it. And every year it goes up more and more. And on the vacant land that just sits there, there's nothing being paid. So it really helps. I mean, in County 99 in Montgomery alone, there's so many millions of dollars that are paid to the local taxing districts, especially Valley Central. I mean, and he doesn't get that. but he likes to go out there and grandstand and stand in front of steamrollers and say, pay your taxes. When, to be honest with you, he's probably been paying property taxes 3 years of his life. So, I mean, he should pay his damn taxes, for God's sakes.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the state budget, all 172 billion of it, has more corporate welfare incentives, and in some cases, we do just cut a check. Much less oversight than the local IDAs and the countywide programs at the state level, and I know that Senator Skoufis votes for a lot of those budgets. So, Steve, your district is mostly Orange County, but you do have some of Rockland County, right?
Correct. There's the town of Stony Point, the town of Haverstraw in Rockland, and the towns of Marlboro and Plattekill in Ulster County. But the rest is probably half of Orange County. And
I remember back around Christmas Eve, the two big issues you and I were talking about: the sanctuary policies, state money for illegal immigrants going to college, and bail reform kind of came to a head. If you recall, there was a hit and run driver killed a mother on Christmas Eve, left the scene, had to be tracked down, and he was given an appearance ticket. He went to court in the town of Stony Point because bail reform was instituted. They just let him go, and thank God for ICE came in and swooped in and got him. The very federal agency that the left doesn't want us to cooperate with here in New York State, or I don't think he ever would have showed up for his court appearance to face homicide charges and leaving the scene and everything else that he was facing. So that was a perfect example of why bail reform and sanctuary policies are terrible for New York State. Hey,
terrible.
I have the luxury of being an incumbent, and I feel bad for challengers a little bit because this is a hard environment. Usually the challenger wins because he hustles and gets out there and shakes more hands. Shaking hands, if you go to shake somebody's hands, they're gonna at best look at you crossways in the environment. How do you run an effective campaign as a challenger right now in this spring 2020 that we're in?
Well, without being able to fundraise, it's been very difficult. But I've been out Uber driving a little bit, and I've enjoyed it over the last 4 months. I just started doing it, and it gets me around the district. I'm meeting a lot of people and spreading the word. And we are doing a lot of Facebook posts, and we're gearing up for when we can go out, with safe distancing in the general public. But luckily, quite a few people know me in Orange County.
You're Uber driving as part of your campaign?
Yeah, well, I left I'm not in the aggregate selling business anymore. I was in that for 5 years, and I'm not in that anymore. So I started Uber driving just to see how it is, and it's been a great opportunity. Long term, I'm going to be looking for something else if I don't win this seat. But I'm enjoying it. I'm meeting a lot of people. The city of Newburgh, New Windsor, Chester, you name it, throughout the district, and it's really and most of the conversations I have, and I don't start a lot of them, but end up with the discuss what's going on in New York State.
Yeah, and Uber drivers and the gig economy and people in those fields, they're really on the front lines of not only this whole virus situation, but also just on the front lines of the economy. It's innovative.
Yeah, I've got my mask. I've got my gloves that I wear. I'm not driving right now, obviously. I'm just sitting here. But
we get higher ratings. Well, Steve, we have to wrap up here in just a minute, but tell us where we can learn more about you, maybe give a contribution and support your campaign.
Well, we just did the anecdote. We finally signed up for it yesterday, so that should be out there. And you can always send a donation to Brescia for Senate at P.O. Box 7, Montgomery, New York, 12549. And we will be doing some fundraising in the not-too-distant future.
All right. You're doing a good job campaigning. Drive safe. Do you have a fare in the car right now?
No, not right now.
Okay. That's really great multitasking. If you
keep up the great work in Albany, Karen, too.
Well, Steve Brescia is running for the 39th Senate District, Orange County, and the northern part of Rockland County, running against Skoufis. Great issues there. Good luck to you, Steve.
Thank you, sir. Full steam ahead.
Take care.
Take care.